Okay, everybody, welcome to my channel. Welcome back. And today we're going to talk about pigment inks, particularly white pigment ink and what you can do with it. We get this really cool 3D effect when you use pigment ink. So these are some of the previous examples that I've made here. Using a stencil, white pigment ink provides this tiny little outline, and then you use another pigment ink on top of it, and you get this really cool shadow effect that, even though it's on a single piece of paper, gives you a kind of a 3D looking effect. So I'm going to show you how we do it here. I'm going to start out with pigment ink, and it needs to be pigment ink because it needs to be able to sit on top of your paper. Okay, so I've got my dark cardstock, so I'm using black. You can use dark brown, dark red, navy, or black. You want it to be a dark colored cardstock. Okay, and I'm going to load up my brush with lots of white pigment ink, and I'm just going to apply that directly to my cardstock. If you're curious about the mat that I'm using here, this is the Wendy Becky Make Art Station. It's really cool because it's magnetic, so it helps to hold your cardstock and everything in position. I can actually catch that edge there first. I can put my down. Okay. So the pigment ink that I'm using is just Craft Smart from Michaels. I used my 30% off. Actually, I might have even used 40% off. That's how old this one is. Pigment ink tends to dry out fairly quickly because you use a lot of it. It's made to sit on top of the cardstock, which is why we can get this really cool effect. That's why this technique works. It doesn't soak into the cardstock. We were using dark colored cardstock and dye-based ink, it would sink in. You wouldn't get this impression. You wouldn't be able to see where your stencil was. I certainly couldn't add any color on top of it or anything like that. So that's the benefit of using pigment ink. Now, the challenge with using pigment ink, though, is that, of course, it does take a little bit longer to dry. Dye-based ink dries really quickly because it soaks into the paper. Pigment-based ink sits on top of the paper and can take a while to dry. Okay, close that up, put that to the side. Now, when you're using these inks and things like that, you want to make sure that you're wiping off your magnets because even though it doesn't look like there's much on there, there is quite a bit of ink on my stencil. And when I put it down on my next project, I might end up getting it all over my project, which I don't particularly want. Just gonna grab a big white here. Stencil a bit of a wipe down here. I'm gonna wipe off my mat. Okay. So you can see here, we get some pretty cool highs and lows just based on the white ink that we've used, how heavy we put it in, whether it's kind of a grayish tone, more white, whatever you get there. This is the first step. Now I'm going to put this aside to dry because it's pigment ink. We need it to dry. What I'm going to pull out is one that I had previously done of white ink. Okay. So this is my white ink on black cardstock. I'm going to get my stencil. Okay, so and this is any stencil will do. I have a variety of different kinds of stencils. I'm going to try and line it up again. And then in order to get the 3D technique, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stencil and I'm either going to shift it up just slightly and to the left, or I can shift it down and to the left, or up and to the right, down and to the right, one or the other. We just want to shift it over just a little bit so that we then see where we have previously colored with the white. So it's now going to have some black areas there. Now I'm going to stick this down again. And I'm going to pull out some pigment inks in colors. And I'm going to be using the VersaFine Clair. These are my favorite pigment inks. They're bright colors, juicy. They have a lot of ink in them. They travel, like they blend really well. And I get really nice colors with them. So first one that I'll be using is Cheerful. in yellow. And I'm just gonna put that directly. Oh, I'm just gonna blend a nice, I'm gonna be doing a bit of a rainbow background here, just because I happen to like it and I think it looks really pretty. So that's my yellow. Next, I'm gonna take the orange, which is summertime. My blending brush, get a little bit on my brush here. My magnet over a little bit. Actually, I have an extra magnet here, so I'm just gonna hold that there. And I'm gonna blend this in, going on top of my dark cardstock, but also the white where the ink is, and just bringing it a little bit into the yellow. Not a ton, just a little bit. Okay. Next color is going to be red. We're going for the Rouge Vive here. This is Tulip Red, again in the VersaFine Clairs. And I'm going to pull this in. It's going to cover all of the areas that were white, a little bit of the black, and I'm just going to bring it in just a bit into the orange so that I do get a nice shaded effect going top to bottom kind of thing. Okay. I'm just going to shift my magnets a little bit here. And I'm going to start on the bottom half of my rainbow, going with the Zzz from the green, so the Zzz Viv. And this color here is Green Oasis. It's a really pretty vibrant green. Just taking it a little bit into the yellow. I still do want to be able to see the yellow. I don't want to cover it up, but creating a nice space there where it starts to blend in together. Next color is going to be the B, the blue. This is Paradise. Going up and over the green, bringing it down. You can't quite see it, I'm sure, on the camera there, but where I'm bringing in the green and the blue, I'm getting a really cool teal color. A little bit of teal that's really pretty. It's one of my favorite colors. So I like to play with that color there. And the last color is going to be Fantasia, which is our deeper purple. I don't need a ton because there's not a lot left on the card here, but bring that in, bringing it up a little bit into the blue, but definitely making sure that I'm covering the tail end of my project there. Okay. Those out of the way, I'm going to pick up my magnets, and I am going to clean off the bottoms because they've been sitting in this pigment ink, so they will, the little matte part of it here, the foamy part will pick up some of that ink, because as you can see, it is laying on top of our stencil. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up my stencil and I'm going to give it a wipe. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to give it a wipe. Most of the stencils that I've used are from Alley. They work just fine. I can do smaller. I have some smaller ones. This is a nice size because it fits right over the top of an A2 size panel front, but we don't have to use those. Any stencil will work, whether it's big, small. It's mostly the technique. You have to make sure you have a stencil and white pigment ink. That's the white pigment ink. Peel my tape off here. And there we go. This is the result that we get. So you start to see where those little flecks of white are. And then when you look into the card front, it ends up looking like we've created some sort of like a 3D effect that comes out of it, and just using ink. So there's no, it's cheaper to send in the mail, which is great. There's no cost to it, which is, you know, like what there is cost to it, but you can get away with just a stamp rather than having to have multiple layers, having everything popped up or anything like that. Because it's just ink. There's not a lot of water or anything that was added onto it. So it stays nice and flat to a card front. So let's create a card, and then I'll show you some of the examples that I had left. So I'm just going to move these out of the way, shift this out of the way here. And these are some of the ones that I had sitting on my desk here that I've previously created. So I've got this really cool mandala where it's kind of going outwards here. I've kind of had it off center just to kind of give it a little bit of flow when I started. This is another one here that's kind of like a flower mandala that's really quite lovely. And I've got this one, which is a more geometric print. And then I also had some little puppy paws that I did in a rainbow. It's kind of hard to see on the camera. I'm not sure how much color you're picking up there, but we'll go from the purples here all the way up to the red at the top there. So, yeah. So I think the one that I'm going to use is, I think I'm going to use this one. I'll make a card using this card front here. So I'll get my card base, and I think I'm going to make it a top folding card, top folding note card. So I've got a white pre-cut and scored and folded white card base here. Okay, top folding. I want to take a little bit down because I do want to have a bit of that white edge. You don't have to, you can do it. This is an A2 size, so this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it fits directly onto your 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 with no edges around it. But I do want to have a bit of a border. It helps to lighten up, and it also highlights some of the white that is in my card. So I'm going to take down just a bit. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off. I want this to be 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to take a little bit off here. Okay, so now that's going to give us a really nice little white border around the edge of it. It's going to help lighten up the panel a little bit, which is always nice. So run around here. I don't feel like this particular one. I'm just gonna have it flat on there. Shift that forward a little bit. I'm not going to pop up the panel. You could pop up the panel if you want. What's also really nice is when you what's also really nice is you can trim it down a little bit. Go. So it's not straight. And lift it again. What happened there on the corner, but that was pretty funny. That's good. There we go. Okay. So what I could have done is I could have this full length here and just have a little bit more of a trim on the side, and I can line it with some silver cardstock. So I cut a strip of silver cardstock. So this is still the full 5 1/2, but I cut this down to, I think it was about 3 3/4. So instead of 4 1/4, it's 3 3/4. And then it, yeah, and then cut some silver cardstock and just ran it down the side here, almost like a ribbon of some sort. Gives it a little bit of shine. So that's another option to do. I'm going to take this, and I really like this paper hugs on this. So I think I'm going to put this here on this corner. Okay, so I'm going to get some, well, like that. I like the hello. Nope, I like the paper hugs. I'm going to do the paper hugs. Get some adhesive. Okay, this little bottle, handier than all get out. It's got really, really fine little tip here. You can see. So it makes it great for putting your liquid adhesive on the back of die cuts and things like that. It's very, very fine. I got it, I picked up a bunch of them from AliExpress, but I know that there are a lot of other companies that are starting to carry them. And then I just took my art glitter glue and put some of it in here, filled it about halfway. And that was probably 2-3 months ago. And you can still see I've still got, I filled it up about half, and I've still got half of that left. So there's still about 1/4 of a bottle left of that that I can continue to keep using here. Okay, so I'm just going to get so if my head gets in the way there, I'm just going to get it over top of here so I can see what I'm putting down. Make sure my sentiment is mostly straight. Yeah, it's pretty good. Close the top of it here. And then what I'm going to do is take my shimmer pen. So if this is the Nouveau shimmer pen, but if you have the Wink of Stella, that would work. I know that close to my heart and a lot of different companies have their own shimmer pens and things like that, so that you can use that. If you don't have one and just want to create your own, if you get a water brush pen, add some water, and then you can put liquid pearls, or I'm sorry, not liquid pearls, but put some water in, and then add perfect pearls. And the white one is like, and then you'll get a shimmer. So it won't have the glitter, but it will have the shimmer to it, which is very nice. And adds just a little bit, but you got a homemade or a DIY yourself kind of shimmer pen, which works good. Okay, a little bit more here. So what's nice about this, because it's this is a pre-cut sentiment, I like to cut out my sentiments and have them kind of ready to go when I'm ready to go. So this is just on cut out of black cardstock, and then I did a white same size because it doesn't have a shadow. But what I did is I just offset it just a little bit. Same thing that we did with the stencil, just to give it that little bit of white shadow so it pops off with the black background just a little bit. Now by adding the shimmer or the glitter, that also helps to highlight your sentiment. So once my shimmer pen is dried, not done, sorry, once it's dried, I think I'm going to go in with my glossy accents and add that on top so that it gives my black sentiment here a little bit more pop. So it stands out on the paper and gives it a little bit of highlight, because you want the paper hugs. That's what you want to be noticeable. Okay. So even just that detail, there's still a little bit more left here on my desk. So I'm just gonna add a bit more of the glitter. If you've met me, you know, can never go wrong with too much glitter. So I'll bring that a little closer to the camera so you can see how even just that little bit of shine helps it pop off of, you know, because it is black on black on black. So there's the color of the flower mandala underneath and the little hint of white from the shadow of the extra layered sentiment. But, you know, we still want that black to pop off. Okay. Now I'm going to add a few little Nouveau drops, just adding a little bit, again, a little bit of highlight, a little bit of interest, a little bit of depth and texture. Yeah. Okay. That to the side there. Just a little bit. Now these are showing as white, the opaque, but what I used for the Nouveau drop is the clear with the glitter in it. So these will dry perfectly clear and just have a little bit of glitter and a little bit of texture, because they'll dry the round shape and everything like that. So that's going to be my simple, easy peasy card for today. Now to show you some samples of ones that I had previously made. So you've seen my Father's Day card. This is, my dad's going to get this. Shh, don't anybody tell him. Okay, but used a different stencil, and again, just the colors that I used, I just went up and down. I used blues, purple, and a green, just to give it that really cool effect. Just plain black Nouveau drops, just to give some texture, and then a Happy Father's Day die cut that I cut out 3 times glued together. I added shimmer to the happy and the day, and then shimmer to the father's part here, plus glossy accents to add that nice glass-like look that kind of helps just kind of complete it there. This is another one that I've previously done, and I really love the geometric print. These are so great to use for men's cards because it's not, doesn't have to be super glittery. It's not really in your face. You know, nice one simple card, but it's really looks like you took a lot of time and made an effort with it. So again, I've just got the simple glossy black Nouveau drops here. Then I did a happy birthday sentiment that I cut out and stacked. So there's 3 of them there to give it that nice dimension. Then I added my shimmer pen and then some glossy accents on top. So it really stands out on top of my background. So it's the black on black, but you can really see that. There's no doubt that that is a happy birthday card. Okay. And then the last one, just to show here that I did. So again, I cut this down and I actually put it on, can't see, but there is some foam tape behind there, just to pop it up off of the card. I did cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. So it's 4 by 5 1/4, just so that I had the white edge around, nice border around it, because it helps pop out the white from my sentiment. So this is the geometric, another great geometric stencil that I had, and I did the rainbow, so red all the way down to purple going diagonally here. Added this hello die, so there's 2 layers of the white and 1 layer of the black, and then I went in and I didn't put shimmer on it, but I did color it in or go over top of just the black part here on my sentiment with my glossy accents to give it that really cool, nice sheen. So it really does help to pop it out a little bit. And then for all of the little cross sections, I added some jewel Nouveau drops. So those are the ones that dry clear, but they do have a slight tint to them. You can't see them probably on the camera, but this one here is actually like a yellow color. So there's just a hint of yellow. This one's blue, this one's purple. You can't see it up, you have to see it here. This one's kind of an orangey color, and this one's a pinky red. So you can just kind of catch it just a little bit, not a ton, but it does add for some nice texture and a nice little detail. If you have any questions or comments, by all means, please do put them down in the comment section below. I'd be happy to read them or answer any questions that you have. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel, like, and leave me a comment, like this video, and then leave a comment down below. I hope to catch you soon. Take care, everybody, and have a great day. I hope you really enjoyed the technique. Give it a try and let me know how it goes for you. Thanks. Bye.